Hey, everybody. Fascinating chat today, diving into the world of public relations for B2B companies with Michelle. How are you?
I'm great, Evan. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. Public relations always is a bit of a mystery to me, having not worked in the field, but great to have you on the show and really excited about diving into your expertise. Maybe introduce yourself, your personal journey, and your recent book, B2B PR that gets results.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have been doing this work for quite a while now. I kind of started out as a writer. I have a journalism degree. I've never worked as a reporter per se, but that was where my love really was initially. And I thought PR would give me a chance to use that as well as work with a variety of clients in different industries. And I've really landed on B2B clients over the years. I think they have so many great stories to tell, and often they don't even recognize the stories they have to tell. So I went out on my own as a consultant. It's probably been about 20 years, honestly. And I started out in Silicon Valley working with, big tech companies, HP, Adobe, those kinds of companies. And then I moved back to the Midwest, which is where I'm at now. That's kind of my roots are here. And I continue to work with B2B clients, primarily on PR initiatives, which do involve writing as well. That's kind of a foundational skill for, I think, for PR pros.
Wonderful, absolutely. And talk about your book. What was the inspiration behind writing it? What new can we expect to learn? I haven't yet read it, but it's on my list.
No, thank you. It debuted in at the top of its category in public relations on Amazon. So that was I'm told that's a
Oh,
big
congratulations.
accomplishment. So I was really happy about that. It's been in the making for years, of course. I mean, I've been blogging and contributing articles to PR publications and things for years, and so it was really just a culmination of all of that knowledge and experience. And I felt like it was the right next step for me. And I don't see a lot of focus on B2B PR specifically. And the book is really geared toward clients that I would probably work with, meaning smaller companies. And when I say smaller, I mean like 500 employees, 1,000 employees. Maybe they don't have a big
Mm,
team. They might not have any PR person. So often they want to work with a consultant to help them with media relations and help them with their reputation. Of course, now we know your reputation is more important than ever, and so that's really what the focus of the book is.
fantastic. And for those who really aren't deep in the topic, I mean, what are the top two or three things that businesses need to understand today about PR in the current, crazy landscape we find ourselves?
I mean, I think it's more important than ever. We see, I don't know, C-suite executives make missteps pretty much on the every day. I mean, you could
Mm,
probably find a story, at least a few stories a week, I would say, about somebody who was out there, maybe wasn't thinking about what they were saying or didn't, prepare remarks and just kind of, shot from the hip and maybe got themselves into some kind of trouble. So I think if you have a PR expert at the table with you, they can help prepare you for, speaking in a live setting or speaking with prepared remarks. They can also kind of weigh in on some of your positions. I think, a lot of times maybe CEOs aren't aware that what they're saying, how it even sounds. So that's our
mm.
job in PR, is to help them understand and be prepared and be ready for that. I also think with AI, anyone can say anything, and we don't know if it's true or not. So I really feel like your reputation, protecting, building, maintaining it, is just more important than it's ever been, and that's what we do in PR.
Yeah, when you do it well. And speaking of that, I mean, you mentioned obviously reputation and visibility,
Mhm.
but what are some of the best practices for integrating PR into overall marketing strategy. Sometimes it's sort of left out as a, kind of redheaded stepchild.
I think people view it as a nice to have sometimes rather than
Mm,
a must have.
mm,
And I think that companies that are paying attention right now will understand, again, it's more important than ever because it takes you a long time to build a solid reputation, but it can be taken down very quickly. And yes, things do move on quickly as well to the next story, the next crisis in the news, but I still think that it can do a lot of damage. And you can look at brands in the news. I'm going to just mention Boar's Head, for example. That's one example
mm.
in the news right now that has a crisis on its hands, and that's probably going to impact its reputation for a while. So I think that being prepared for that by having, doing everything you can to build a reputation as a trustworthy entity. In the event that something happens, maybe you'll be able to recover a little bit more quickly from something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I, do a lot of work in social media to say the least. And what I find is, PR is often not really collaborating necessarily with marketing or the social teams.
Mhm.
Why is that? And why is it important for PR, marketing, social to all work sort of hand in glove?
I often see content, social, and PR siloed off and not collaborating. And I think that again, you can just get so much more out of everything that you're doing if those teams are working together. And I know it's not always easy, but I think it's worth the effort to try because, for example, say your content team creates a video and you publish that on your website, you publish it on YouTube. Great. People watch it. That's all good and well. However, your PR team could get involved, and I'm going to pull an example from work that I actually did with a client. Pull the video, get the transcript, create an article, and then use it as a contributed piece of content to industry trade journals, for example. And that means more people are going to see that piece of content. Then your social team can take those earned media hits and post those on your social media channels like LinkedIn, which is where, of course, all of our B2B friends are spending time these days more than ever. So that's just an example of how you might all work together.
Yeah, one of many possibilities. And what I find is, many times the PR people I'm speaking with when I connect or look them up really don't have much of a presence personally. What's the phenomenon there? Is that just the cobbler's shoes kind of thing? It's often overlooked, or you're a magnificent exception. You have a huge audience on social media. You obviously spend time there.
Mhm.
Again, maybe reiterate why that's important.
Well, I think it's important because you connect with reporters and you have
Mm,
your own following. And so
mm,
then when you work with a client, of course, you can share any news that you generate with your followers, for example. Reporters, of course, a lot of reporters follow me too, and I have relationships with them. So they're going to see there's momentum there, there's things happening. I think that's why it's important. And I also use myself as a guinea pig a little bit because once I try something for me and I see how it works, then I can also implement that for a client if it made sense. So
mm.
um, I see that I see it as vital to what I do.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. And certainly it adds to your own credibility as well to have a presence and a point of view and thought leadership out there. You must come across a lot of misconceptions about PR, especially in B2B. It's
Right.
like social in B2B is completely different than B2C. What are
Yes.
some of those misconceptions that you see?
The thing that I focus on is that when you're working with B2B clients, they are not selling to a consumer who's spending their own money to buy the thing, the solution, the machine, the whatever it is. So, there are bigger budgets involved and they're also, spending a, a lot of money, but it's not their own money. But then to make the
Mm,
decision, we see more and more. I'm kind of thinking about manufacturers right now. I think in the, previous times, Of course, it was more like, well, we know each other. It's a handshake kind of deal. Now, the buyers are younger. They're looking online before they ever contact the company. There are stats out there. I can't quote you one off the top of my head, but I've written about it that they do a lot of their research before they ever get to the vendor themselves. So I think it's really important for them to have content, social, earned media, which is through PR, out there so that when buyers are searching, they come across those things and that helps inform their decision and they educate themselves and then they get in touch with the sales department, for example.
Yeah, no, that's a great way forward. The other thing I find is that, typically I'll see a flurry of emails and invitations right before an event, and that will be PR. Um, did you see, PR being seen as a sort of quick fix? I mean, what is the reality when it comes to achieving results with PR?
I think that's a great question because I think a lot of times, and I mean, this happens to me too. Some a company will have a launch, for example, and they have an event
Mm,
coming up or something. They're launching a product, so they get in touch and they have like maybe 2 to 4 weeks, to get this product launched. So it's really, again, it's an afterthought, and they don't have any presence. They've not built any following or presence in the media with
mm.
reporters or publications in their space. So you're really, I think that's a big challenge. It's really not something you can expect overnight results. I'd say if somebody pressed me for a time frame, 3 to 6 months, if you've never done any PR before to really see some results and build momentum, and that might sound like a long time. I know everybody wants everything like overnight, and I just you can't promise, and NPR we can't promise anyway because it's not paid media, it's earned media.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it really depends on the content at the end of the day and how it's being created. Uh, that leads to my next question. What are the key elements that make PR successful, make an engagement successful? If you're
Mhm.
already in the PR business, how can you up your game and think about doing things better, differently?
I really think that sometimes we get stuck in certain ways of doing things and we're not thinking about like, okay, we have a product launch in 6 months, so we don't have anything else to do with from a PR perspective. But that's not really the case because you have thought leaders at your company, hopefully. And a lot of, my clients have been in business for 50 years, 75 years. So of course they have stories to tell, they have thought leaders, so we can be taking that, turning it into content from a contributed article perspective. We can also turn it into thought leadership from the executives themselves. And those kinds of things help us stay on the map during the lulls because honestly, not every company is going to be launching, 10 products a year. So they have to really think about what else they have to stay out there because I think it is important to stay out there consistently and not just do PR again when you have a product or solution announcement that's not necessarily going to get you where you want to be.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's talk about the business of PR. You have mega firms, giants out there,
Mhm,
to solo practitioners like yourself, everything in between. How
mhm.
is the industry changing, for good, bad, indifferent? And, what will all the AI tools mean for the business as, we're all using ChatGPT for copy and editing and press releases? What does the future look like near term, long term?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the landscape really is. I think big agencies are great for big companies, but again, we have a
Mm,
lot of smaller companies who are on smaller budgets and can't maybe afford
mm,
a lot of tools or a lot of, big agency assistance. So I think we need to be looking at other solutions. And again, if I were running, the marketing team at a smaller company, I probably wouldn't necessarily be spending more money on tools per se. I'd be looking for some assistance from a human talent standpoint, either in-house or consultants, something like that. And I would be pretty careful about choosing who I worked with. I think a lot of times I worked at an agency before I went out on my own, and I'm not saying every agency is like this, but a lot of times they will bring in, the big names or the people, the most experienced people to pitch the business. And then the person that's more junior will probably be working on your day to day business. So I think that's just something to ask, like, who's going to be working? Who am I going to be working with? Who's my main contact? Who's going to be,
Mm,
doing the work every day? So I think that's important. Um, you asked about AI, and I've been having some conversations about AI. I'm not huge on using AI to write. I do use it sometimes to generate headlines or like maybe something like that, get some input on that. I think you have to be careful when you use it to write. You have to check it, make sure, you check your facts and be very careful, especially in press releases and things, because those are official documents that are maybe
mm.
going out on the wire. They're coming from the company themselves, so they should be very trustworthy and credible, and that's important. But I will say with AI driven search, you want to show up in as many places as possible from a PR perspective. So that doesn't mean only the Wall Street Journal. Of course, everybody wants to be in the Wall Street Journal. We know this in PR, but the trade journals, those are great for AI based search. That I was talking to, I don't know, you probably know Christopher Penn. We were having a little back and forth
Mm.
about AI, and he was saying, people that are really companies that are really smart are going to want to up their PR game because AI based search is going to be a big deal, and you want to be showing up everywhere that you can.
Yeah, Chris Penn's amazing and forward thinking. And speaking of that, I mean, we're really in the first inning of AI. We're going to look back in 5 years on and look back like we were, in kindergarten when it comes to AI. But, people are already looking at agents, intelligent agents that will go out and engage on your behalf and do outreach and reply and send emails.
Mhm.
Are you worried about the future of jobs in our industry long term? What do you think that'll look like?
I mean, I think some people worry or maybe should be
Mm,
worried.
mm,
I think that for a lot of companies, again, the human talent is going to help them stand out because honestly, there's nothing like a human being that you can connect with and talk to. And I know that robots can do a lot of things, but I still believe that there are a lot of opportunities for talented human experts, workers, whatever we want to call them. But I think that there's still that future is safe as far as I can see so far. But maybe if
oh,
you're
good.
newer to the industry, I think you just need to make sure you get good experience and build your network and just really it might be a little you have to work a little bit harder at it.
Well, I, for one, am looking forward to a robot replacing me. This is really hard work. I need a break. So, on that high note or low note, we'll thank you for sharing just a few minutes on uh, on the show. What are you looking forward to the rest of the year? You must have a busy schedule. It's the season, as we say. It's running up to the year end. Lots going on.
Yeah, I'm already talking with clients about year-end content. Of course, we have a lot of things coming up that are going to be distractions, I think, for a couple of months. So we're trying to get all that kind of lined up and ready to go. A lot of times I ghostwrite for executives. I'll talk with the executive, ghostwrite the
Mm.
piece. We'll put it on their site, and then we'll also pitch it as earned media. So that's kind of the process that I go through with clients on that. And then from a speaking perspective, I'll be at Content Marketing World in October. So I'm really excited
All
about
right.
that. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be the just a pell-mell rush to the end of the year. I mean, I think at this point.
Awesome. Well, good luck with all that. And thanks for joining, sharing your insights. And yeah, everyone, thanks for watching. Check out B2B PR that gets results on Amazon. I will be ordering it today. Thank you.